So for trimester 2, you guys are only going to be provided with 5 different paint colors: black, white, red, blue, and yellow paint. So some of you guys are probably wondering, well, how am I supposed to make all of these other colors on the rainbow, on the color wheel here, with only those 5 colors? The reality is you can actually make any color you want by mixing like a combination of those 5 colors. So colors can be divided into 2 different categories. There are primary colors and there are secondary colors. Primary colors are the colors on the color wheel that make all the other colors. They themselves can't be created by mixing 2 different colors. So some examples would be blue, red, and yellow. You can't mix 2 colors together to create those colors. All right. Secondary colors are the colors on the color wheel that are made by combining 2 primary colors. So for example, if I want to make violet, then I would combine red and blue together, right? If I want to make orange, I would combine red and yellow to make orange. If I want to make green, I would combine yellow and blue to make green. I cannot combine green and purple or violet to make blue though, right? That's what makes this a primary color, okay? So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna label all of our primary colors. So blue is primary, yellow is primary, and red is primary. And for our secondary colors, we have violet. We're gonna label that secondary. Orange, secondary. And green, secondary. Okay, so there we have our primary and secondary colors. Okay, so again, to figure out how to create, if you're wondering, how do I make violet, right? That's not one of the paints that's provided to you. So how do I make this? You're gonna take the 2 primary colors that are next to that secondary color. So in this case, it's blue and red, and you're gonna mix them together until you get violet. If you mix more blue, then you'll get a blue violet. If you mix more red, you'll get a red violet. All right, same thing with orange, right? If I want to make orange, I would mix red and yellow. More yellow means I'll get a yellow orange. More red means I'll get a red orange. So now let's go ahead and move on to the exercises here, right? First question, paint the 3 primary colors in the boxes below. We've labeled what those primary colors are. So instead of showing you and doing it myself, I'm gonna let you go ahead and figure that out. For painting the 3 secondary colors, you're gonna have to mix the primary colors, right? So in my palette, it's kind of messy. I'm just gonna show you. To make green, I'm gonna take blue, right? I'm gonna put it here on the side. And yellow, right? And then I'm gonna mix them together. Remember, you wanna mix with your palette knife and not your brush. Notice here though, as I'm mixing it together, the color is changing from blue to green. If I want it to be more yellow, I can add more yellow, and that'll give me a more yellowish green. If I want it to be a more blue-green, then I'll add more blue. And there I have my yellow, right? So you can make your secondary colors by mixing the 2 primary colors that are next to it. If you notice, the paint for my green here is coming out kind of thin, right? It's a little bit transparent. That's actually on purpose, because the more transparent it is, the better it'll mix together, right? It's also designed for something called glazing, where you create layers of paint on top of each other to get a different color, right? So if I had a layer of blue and then waited for it to dry and painted a layer of yellow on top, I can make green without having to mix it beforehand. It's designed that way, but if you want it to be more opaque or less transparent, you would just paint another layer of the same color on top of it when it's dry. If you're not sure how to identify whether or not a color is primary or secondary, you can check to see if it can be made by mixing the colors around it on the color wheel. So if it could be created by mixing, it's a secondary color. If it can't, it's a primary color. So for example, if I want to make violet, right? Or if I want to know if violet is a secondary or primary color, I check to see if the colors around it combine to make violet. If yes, then it's a secondary color. If I want to check to see if red is a primary or secondary color, I'll take violet and orange, mix them together, and see if I get red. If I don't get red, then it is not a secondary color, right? It's a primary color. All right, so to answer the question here, you can tell if a color is primary or secondary if you mix the colors around it on the color wheel together. If it does make that color in the middle, then it's a secondary color. If it does not, then it is a primary color. Okay. Definitions here. So for the new vocabulary, primary colors. Primary colors are the colors on the color wheel that make the other colors. Secondary colors are the colors on the color wheel made by mixing primary colors. And those are our definitions.